What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of what I guess is Throwback Thursday. I'm not really sure if this is what we're sticking with, but it's Thursday and I'm gonna post another video, so I guess we're calling it Throwback Thursday, hashtag basic or whatever. But yeah, today I'm really excited because this is a match that I saved from 2012. I think fall regionals. It was the tournament in Philadelphia. It was the first year. Okay, so let's just go old VGC history. Okay, so back in 2011 and pre-2011. Well, pre-2011 the system was even worse, but in 2011 the way regionals worked is it was best of one single elimination, meaning you lost once and you were out. So, for example, the first regional that I went to and the one that I ended up winning was, I believe, just about it was under 500 players, but not by much, like maybe 300, 400. It might have been, yeah, it was between 300 and 400, I think. I don't really remember. And it was best of one single elimination, which meant 8 to 9 rounds, depending on who you were, and if you got unlucky in the round of 32, I believe. And if you lost once, you were out, and the games were best of one. And so it was like a really, really tough tournament. And in VGC 2012, they were like, okay, best of one single elimination is pretty bad, so we're going to introduce Swiss. And we were like, okay, Swiss, like a lot better. But then they were like, they said, we're not going to have a top cut. And we were like, so in order to win the tournament, you still had to go undefeated. You still couldn't afford to lose, except in like very rare circumstances. And so at Philadelphia, it was a huge regional. It wasn't very well run. We ended up starting really late, and there were so many people that they had to split us into two flights. Like there was like a pink flight and I believe a blue flight, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I was in pink flight along with some of my good friends. Like Anash was in that flight, Kinderloo, Jive Time, and Ben7000, all in that flight, as well as other people. And because of the amount of people, they decided to take the top 4, I believe, from each flight after Swiss. And so we actually didn't end up having a top cut for this regional, even though we weren't supposed to. And I don't think any other regional that year had a top cut, but Philly 2012 did. So this is the Philadelphia tournament, and this match I'm really excited for. This is a tournament where my team was these 4 that you can see on the top of your screen: Regigigas, Landorus, Tyranitar, and Ferrothorn, as well as a Cresselia and Chandelure. It features some of the Pokemon I would bring to Nationals, but not all of them. The Cresselia, Chandelure, and Tyranitar were repeated, but the other 3 changed out. Yeah, I don't know, and it's a game. So this is versus Ben7000, who is a really phenomenal guy. That's Ben Rothman. He is one of the most interesting people I've met in Pokemon. He is someone who, I definitely feel like could be one of the best in the world, but he doesn't play anymore. And he, for example, in 2000, I believe it was 2014. It was me, Blake Hopper, and Ben who made it through the LCQ. Except that then, Ben just won, he made it through the LCQ, which is, one of the toughest tournaments there was at the time, maybe the toughest of that year, except, Worlds is debatable, but it was, a really, really tough tournament, and Ben makes it through, showing that he's, a really solid player, and then, gets last in Worlds, I believe. If not last, he was 1 in 5 or something, very, very not great, because he just didn't care, and I don't know, I always thought that was, really interesting. So, yeah, that's just some VGC history. I really like Ben a lot. He's a genuinely amazing person, and I miss him because he doesn't play anymore. But yeah, this is one of our first. This is our first actually tournament match, and it might have been our only one. So I thought we'd jump into it. This also features one of my favorite Pokemon, Regigigas. So yes, and this is back when we had nicknames, and that's my shiny Regigigas, which actually had imperfect IVs, I believe. But I didn't care because I wanted a shiny one. And so, as you can see, the leads start off. My Regigigas does have a slow start going off, and Ben just goes ahead and uses Rock Slide. And I'm actually I don't know why that extra drill was so fast. So turn 1, you see Rock Slide come out. It doesn't flinch me, thankfully, on my Landorus. Fine. It's not going to do a lot of damage. It does a little bit to my Landorus, but not that much to my Regigigas. Regigigas gets even slower. The thing is that because I'd actually been testing this team some on Pokemon Online, which was the equivalent of Showdown back then, and I knew that I played Ben, so I figured that Ben would, or I wasn't sure. I guess I'm not sure if I knew that I played Ben, but I knew that there was a chance that he knew what I was using. So the thing is that the Regigigas. Oh, that's my alarm. I was just awake up right now. Yes, but the thing is that the Regigigas that I was using online had Wide Guard, so that's why that turn 1 happened, where I wasn't sure if he knew that I had Wide Guard. So that's why I went for the sub Thunderwave turn 1, because I was expecting him to predict the Wide Guard and maybe go Protect and something, like Protect and Psychic. But Ben is going to switch out his Excadrill here. He doesn't want to take any damage from that Earth Power. He doesn't really have a lot that can hit my Landorus outside of that spread move, which is the Rock Slide, I believe. And in this situation, I actually just go for Protect with Landorus because I'm not sure if that Excadrill will stay in or switch out. Excuse me. And confuse around to Cresselia, which is very nice. So Cresselia is confused, and it's able to attack. Didn't know that. Okay, yeah. But Icy Wind is fortunately not going to do very much to my Regigigas, because Regigigas is incredibly bulky. Yeah, so far Regigigas is doing like a really good job of locking him down, and I'm feeling really good about it. And I actually switched my Landorus out because Landorus does not have a lot to attack these guys with. And I'm gonna get my Tyranitar in. Tyranitar is like a really solid Pokemon, especially in this situation where, yeah, neither Thundurus nor Cresselia, I'm sorry, Zapdos nor Cresselia can do a lot of damage. And so Ben is just gonna go ahead and Thunderbolt my Regigigas, but I should take that really well, except for the fact that, so I was watching this battle back and I totally forgot that in Gen 5, crits did double damage. So I was like, why did that Zapdos do so much? Like, I know it's not the choice specs, but I forgot that crits did double damage. So, unfortunately, a crit is going to take out my Regigigas. That move was a Thunder Wave onto Zapdos, which would have really been good for me, because it would have made Zapdos and Cresselia both paralyzed with Regigigas with Wide Guard, and yeah, it just would have been really nice overall. But I do get Landorus back in, and at this point I'm pretty worried, because, yeah, that wasn't great to lose Regigigas, at all. So I am going to go ahead and use Substitute with my Landorus because there's no, I figure Ben might switch. I figure that even if he doesn't switch, he's not going to want to take a Rock Slide, except that I don't Rock Slide. Wow. So I guess wow, this is very surprising for me. So I end up predicting bluffing Rock Slide here and counting on the fact that Cresselia is both paralyzed and confused. I take the risk, and I use Dragon Dance with my Tyranitar, which is really uncommon at the time, and I just hope that Cresselia isn't able to Icy Wind, because an Icy Wind would be really bad because it would break my sub and it would lower my speed. But thankfully I am able to get that attack off, get the Dragon Dance off, and I'm just going to, I think I realize at this point that my Tyranitar is really important. Yes. Yeah, and so also, like, I don't want to take an Earthquake, probably, without a doubt. So I am going to protect my Tyranitar, and the reason I do that, and even though it does leave my Landorus open to be attacked, I am going to get this Earth Gem, Earth Power boosted by Sand Force, which a lot of people didn't know at the time, and I think Ben knew, but wasn't entirely sure at the moment, that Earth Gem plus Earth Power plus Stab plus Sand Force is going to do a lot of damage, and it's actually going to KO that Garchomp. Sorry, I just woke up. Yeah. But basically, yeah, Cresselia, probably predicting a Crunch or maybe a Rock Slide doing a lot of damage and not wanting to be paralyzed anymore, is going to use Rest. So now Cresselia is a threat again because it's no longer confused and it's no longer paralyzed, and Cresselia is a Pokemon with Icy Wind that you don't want just sitting around. So Excadrill is going to come in here, unfortunately, and thanks to the Sand Rush, it's going to do double damage. I'm sorry, it's going to do double speed. So it is going to go ahead, and I don't protect my Landorus, which I think is really interesting here. I expect this move is probably a Rock Slide from Tyranitar, but I don't think I do, okay, yeah, I don't flinch. So I am going to get this Rock Slide off. It's going to do a lot of damage, and I believe Excadrill was probably Focus Sash. Focus Sash Excadrill at the time was the most common set. And I am going to go ahead and launch this Earth Power onto this Excadrill, most likely, like, probably trading Excadrill for Landorus because of the fact that he's very likely to go Icy Wind here. Yeah, and so I am going to lose my Landorus and drop my speed on Tyranitar. So now this is a 2 versus 2, and we're down to the last few turns. And I believe the timer is actually ticking down as well. It's been too long for me to actually remember, like, the actual state of what the timer was doing at the time. Yes, and Gen 5's Sand is not going away. We don't have to worry about that, and it is chipping away at his Pokemon and not at mine. As 3 of my 4 Pokemon were immune to Sand, and the 4th is Regigigas, who is bulky enough that it doesn't matter too much. And keep in mind that this is back when Zapdos carried Heat Wave. This wasn't just, so like this situation, like in VGC, anything that's not 12 or maybe 13. Zapdos wasn't used that much in 13. This is a situation in which, like, the player with the Zapdos is, like, in a really bad situation, but because of the fact that Zapdos carry Heat Wave, and I believe Ben Zapdos did have Heat Wave, this is a lot riskier. So I do take a big risk there, and I use Power Whip on the Cresselia, ideally probably trying to put it into range for Rock Slide, because my Tyranitar does outspeed his Zapdos, and I like Thunder Wave, Icy Wind, Cresselia also wasn't that uncommon at the time. So thankfully that Power Whip play does pay off, and I do get the attack off onto Cresselia, and thankfully picking up the KO. So that Power Whip, like, watching this back, I was like, why didn't I Leech 2? I feel like Leech 2 would have been way better. But watching this back, I actually do think that was the correct play because it put him in range. Oh, timer, that's why. I just remembered. I, like, literally just remembered. And that flinch, unfortunate, but not really that important because he would have needed essentially, like, Heat Wave crit burn on my Ferrothorn, Heat Wave crit on my Ferrothorn, Heat Wave burn on my Tyranitar, and then like a couple rock slide misses. But yeah, this game is thankfully over because of the leech seed, and because I think the time was running out. I think this is the last turn, or like if it's not the last turn, it's pretty close to it, because I do remember the time was running out. And Ben, instead of going for Roost, if he had it, I'm not even sure if he had Roost, because he probably had Thunderbolt, Tailwind, and Heat Wave, and Protect. I mean, we didn't see Heat Wave, but I'm like, I feel like I remember that he had it. So this game is gonna end like this, with Leech Seed, Ben knowing that the game is over, just gonna go over Tailwind, and yeah. So yeah, this is one of my favorite games. It's only my second. It was like the second regional I'd ever been to, I believe. And yeah, I don't know. It was a really good game. And I don't know. I like showcasing Regigigas. I got second at this tournament, so that was the top 4 match. I don't know if I mentioned that was my top 4 match versus Ben Rothman. And in the finals, I lost to Michael Lanzano, Jive Time, who would go on to be like a really good friend of mine. So I thought that was fun. Yes, but thank you guys so much for watching. This was really cool to relive like the memories and to go back over that game and to see like the way that past Wolf played and to have future Wolf try to interpret it. But I hope you guys enjoy this kind of content. I hope you enjoy seeing Regigigas, because I like Regigigas. If you enjoyed this kind of content, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you have suggestions for other things, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments. And if not, I guess I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.